Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Hello, Phantom. Hello, Gling. Hello, Mia. Is it Mia? And that's what you said, me. Or is it how you say everything? Like me. I have some stories set aside, but then I realized we've already read them. So yeah. Now I'm looking for other stories, but I'm just gonna give people a chance to come into the live stream here. Shared it across every avenue I can think of to share it. I'm streaming in a weird time of the day too that I don't normally stream in, so just talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes. You'll give people a chance to come in here. See here. Hey, honey. You guys listening at work? You guys all done at work? Hello, my name is Merritt, and my last name starts with an A. Oh, okay. Hey, Roger. Hello. Just giving people a chance to come in and gather, or however you want to say it. I had some stories set aside, but I realized we already read them, and I know that I've saved other. I've saved stories before. You see that I haven't read, so I'm just peeking through those and seeing if. Okay, yep. I don't think we've read this one, just because the first one is so weird. Yeah. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Flattened Earth. Hello, Smoky Mountain Reeds. Hello, Tara White. Hello, hello. My thing says 2 waiting. Listening at work. Good. Oh, no pressure for me to perform then, is there? Let's see here. Let me go back to this first page here. I had some stories set aside if you guys didn't hear that, and I realized we already read them, so now I'm just checking out these other ones. I save stuff and set it aside. I think this one will do it. I've got 25 hikers and backpackers revealed the creepiest, scariest things they've found in the wild. I don't know. Could they have picked a longer title for this? Possibly. Possibly. Oh, goodness. Let me see here. How did everybody like yesterday's video? Evan the Nerd's story on the Westbury experiment. He's not done with the story, so I can't wait to see what happens next because I have no idea what's going to happen. I think I've already read that one too. "10 Real Victims of," I think we're going to read that too. Yeah. So I've got 2 things set aside here. All right, let me see here. Filter needed changing and he cleaned out the furnace with the shop vac. Thank goodness it was nothing serious. Yes, it is winter time. Not sure where you're from, but here it's normally January in Michigan is normally, miserable. But it is like, I swear it feels like it's mid 40s, no snow, sunny. It's weird. No, I did say 5, but I want to alternate it because people that are outside of the US that like to listen to stuff, that's really, really late for them. So, yeah, me too. I have some issues with speech and Yeah. Yep. All kinds of stuff like that. So you're not alone, Smoky Mountain Reads. Scrolling up here. I think we'll wait like 2 more minutes. We'll wait until it's 3:10 and then we'll read some stories. How's that sound? Got a big snowstorm. I'm jealous. Hey, Dubco. Hey, you're in Sweden. So it's late there. No. Yeah. 9 o'clock. Damn, that's a crazy time difference. That's crazy. So this time of day is pretty good across the board because no matter where you're at, you can listen and it's not the middle of the night. So I'm gonna try and alternate. Like next week, next Monday, I'll do 8 p.m. and then the Monday after that, I'll do like late afternoon sometime. I had some things I had to get done, so I wasn't sure what time. Yeah. Damn YouTube. I know. Crazy. Yep, 9. Wow. Okay. 2 more minutes and we're going to start reading. I'm just giving everybody a chance to get in here. We're going to be reading 25 hikers and backpackers reveal the creepiest, scariest things they found in the wild. And after that, 10 real victims of the CIA's MK Ultra program, which is just a little taste. Did any of you go and look at the lovely photographs that Dennis Rader took of his victims or look at any of the drawings? I had them in the description box, but it flagged my video. It flagged it anyway, so I ended up posting them. And plus, someone said that it wasn't there, but I had taken it down because, of course, YouTube was like, "That's not advertiser friendly," even though it's true crime and history. But anyway, it's 9 p.m. in Sweden. How is it the middle of the day in Illinois? Flat Earth debunked. Yeah, I know, isn't it? I try to do live streams every week, but I'm not gonna promise it there. But did any of you guys go and look at the oh, well, they're still there. I won't show them on the live stream, but you guys, hey, bug nuts. If you guys go in the comment section of Serial Killer Saturday, there's 2 links that I pinned there. One is the actual photo album. He took photos of his victims. They're very graphic, and they're, my take is it seems so disrespectful to put up pictures of people that have passed away, especially when the way that they passed away. Like if it's victims and it's just a snapshot of them in their regular life, not a big deal. But I didn't find any of those. I found something much worse. And what if the off chance that maybe one of the relatives of one of the persons that are in the photographs come across the video? How awful would that be? Plus, it just seems disrespectful. So you guys can check that out. And then he did detailed graphic drawings of what he did or planned to do. And they're just awful. Yikes. Okay. So we are going to read. Actually, I'm going to take you guys with me so I can stir something that I have cooking that smells like it might need to be stirred. So enjoy this little walk with me as we walk into my kitchen. It's not very far away. I think I need to turn the heat down. Facts. I don't know if anybody likes this, but I'm making sauerkraut and sausage. I didn't have that planned for dinner. I just kind of saw it and wanted to make it. Most people don't like that, but we like it, so. Ooh, I must have been rubbing against that microphone. Where is that? Okay, there we go. Tea. Okay. You want some sauerkraut? It doesn't smell very good. You have to take it out of the package and rinse it. Oof. Does not smell good. Oh my god. What now? Hey, Case Lee. Hello. How you guys doing? All right. It was like that when a truck killed people in Stockholm. Photos were taken and spread all over the internet. Well, we like to watch the first 48 here. So if you guys have never seen that, they take a case from the time the crime happens, and then they go through the first 48 hours because they feel like it's really important to nail down the main suspect within the first 48 because the chances of catching whoever is responsible for the crime, the percentages of that being successful go down drastically after the first 48. But oftentimes, what I don't like is they're going to take photographs and you'll see, like, you won't see the victim, but you'll see like one of their hands or one of their feet. And I'm just thinking, okay, let's say it's a rerun 5 years from now and the family's scrolling through on the channels and they just happen upon that and they see like their family members' fingers or their toes. It just, I don't know, seems really disrespectful. Ew, no. I can barely eat sausage made of turkey. Ooh. All right. I think everybody that's going to be here is here. So we are going to go through, and if you've heard these before, I don't know. I don't think I've ever read them on my channel, and hopefully you guys haven't heard them before. So here we go. Let me just refresh this. These are 25 hikers and backpackers reveal the creepiest, scariest things they found in the wild. And I don't know if they're numbered. Let me see. They're not, so whatever. The first one's titled Weird Latin Phrase. The words per audacia ad ignotum, drawn in the snow in the absolute middle of nowhere. Yet no footprints were around them. The words were probably a few hours old. The closest translation we could find was through audacity towards the unknown. Okay. Does that sound familiar to anybody? I don't think so. I've never heard that story before. I'm damn sure I've never read it. I don't know if it's much of a story as much if it's a couple of sentences, though, so. All right, so let me see. I'm going to refresh this chat thing because I don't think I'm seeing this correctly or something. I don't know. And excuse me if you hear me like too many mouth noises because I'm taking a drink of pop that's next to me. All right, let's get back to the next one. This one's titled, This One Gets Eerie. So I took my young children to a cave not far from the house. Popular spot, but we had the place to ourselves. You can walk through it in about 30 minutes without too much difficulty. It has a tiny exit at the opposite end. It was pretty muddy, so we decided to turn around and head back to the entrance. Halfway back, there was a lit candle sitting about 8 feet up on one side. It was definitely not there on the first trip. I went into full-on protective dad mode, knowing there was likely someone hiding in the dark, while we walked the rest of the way out. Oh, holy shit. That was one of those almost happened, but like scarier, almost something happened. Native American sausage? Okay. Let's back to this. This one's titled A Nightmare. I was backpacking in Yellowstone above the tree line at about 10,500 feet. We're hiking on a ridge above a lake when all of a sudden we come across a horse skull. No body, just the skull. Pretty cool looking. We get to our campsite not too far from the lake where we found the horse skull. Okay. When we go to climb down to the lake, We find the body of the horse rotting on the edge of the lake, with the negative film strips floating in the water and lying around the shore near the body. Oh, okay. I don't know. Someone didn't tell that correctly, I don't think. Exchanging recipes. Sharing is caring. This one's titled It Was a Miracle. My friends and I found a 22-year-old girl face down in the mud, both legs broken, with compound fractures. She had no cell phone, no water, no food, and nothing to keep her warm. Her friend was dead. A little backstory. My two friends and I were hiking in a pretty popular spot in our area. It's a 150-foot waterfall that takes 45 minutes of uphill hiking to get to. We decided to go bouldering around the bottom of the waterfall. There are various little pools and boulders where the water runs off of the waterfall. This bouldering trail is not on the main trail, and not many hikers ever veer off the main trail. When we found her, obviously we called 911 and gave her any supplies we had. Eventually, a helicopter showed up, and they flew her to the nearest hospital. Turns out she was hiking with her friend the night before, when they both fell off of the waterfall. Her friend must have gone to get help, but unfortunately died less than 100 yards from where we found the girl. So no one knew she was hurt or that she was even there. It's a miracle she was still alive, and mind-blowing to think that what she had gone through when we found her 20 hours later. Holy crap, 20 hours sitting there while you can see your friend's dead, or you think your friend's dead. Oh my god, she wouldn't even know her friend's dead. Why would you go hiking on a waterfall at night? Raise your hand if you're smarter than that. I raised you kids better than that. Hey, Nightmare Files, how's it going? Have you heard or read the story Favor for a Favor? I don't know. I do love creepypastas, though. It's what made me start doing. Well, I love stories in general, so. But no, I don't think I have. Back to the stories. So this one's titled An Assailant and an Unconscious Victim. I feel like these are going to go rougher and rougher as we descend into this story. So if they get disgusting, I apologize in advance, even though everyone says I don't need to apologize. I just feel like I do in case someone listens to it in the future, not during the live stream, and they're like in shock. Yeah. I don't always know what these say. I just rough scan through them, make sure I haven't read them before, someone else hasn't. Which, you know what? I'm sure someone on YouTube has probably read some of these before. I have no way of knowing. Like when people comment, I've heard this story before. That's because literally there's no way to go through every narrator's channel and see if they've read the story before. There's just no way. There's quite a few narrators, and there's no way to know everything that people have read. And when I've liked a story a lot, and I know that someone else has read it, I've read it anyway just because I liked the story so much. I know I did, I don't know if it was 2 of Mr. Creepypastas, like 2 years ago I did these because I liked the stories so much. But anyway, I digress. Let me see here. They were going down to the waterfall on purpose and messed themselves up. Yeah. You have something called Serial Killer Saturday. How could anyone possibly be offended by anything? Let's see. What some guy that I've never seen on my channel before commented from my Mikhail Popov. It was one of my first or second Serial Killer Saturday, and I was still like getting my cadence down. So some of it's like read slower and over dramatic, which it's, you know what? People evolve their style over time, and mine was like, oh god, that doesn't mean I love everything I've read, because sometimes I read back and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not very good. Nothing I can do about it. It's already out there. So Oh, hey. I forgot what I was going to say, but this guy said, why don't you take the bag of dicks out of your mouth the next time you read something, sweetheart? Mwah. Such kindness, such sweetness. What a lovely person he was. Shit. All right, so this one's entitled An Assailant and an Unconscious Victim. So, roughly 8 years ago, my friend and I were walking toward Avenue Street in St. Clair in Toronto. We decided to take a short hike through the ravine below after passing Bathurst. We walked up, we ju- okay, blah, blah, blah. We walked just adjacent to the Loblaws superstore. And there's like a Google map of the area, but we're just not going to do that, okay? My friend first heard the thudding with a really squishy sound. I distinctly remember the grunts followed by a single impactful thud. As we cautiously walked through, we came across a large man throwing his entire body weight into driving his foot into an unconscious man's face on the ground. My first instincts were to just run, but for some stupid reason, I got between the victim and the assailant. My friend was screaming for me to get away, but while wrestling the guy, I threw my phone at her and told her to call the police. Oh, tell me that's not where it ends. Okay. There was a page 2 and I had to go to it. So the assailant tried to fight me, but he was exhausted from the beating he gave the victim. So he took a weak swing at me, turned around, and ran away as soon as he heard my friend talking on the phone. As I turned, I couldn't believe it. The victim's face was barely human. It was flat, covered in blood. His shoulder and chest area had a large laceration from the top to just above the nipple. Each breath he took bubbled with blood gushing out of his mouth. You could hear him moaning. It was just awful. I didn't want to risk doing too much without much knowledge of first aid, so I just took off my shirt and tried to cover up the laceration on his shoulder with some pressure. Police came, firefighters, ambulances. I don't remember much of what they asked me or how long we were asked to stick around. The victim was quickly taken to the hospital, and I still don't know what happened to him. I like to think he survived, but those injuries were gory. It was really traumatizing just seeing someone an inch away from death, much like the girl you found with multiple life-threatening injuries. Those things are very difficult to forget. Yeah, you don't forget that. Huh. Yikes. Let's see. I see Mr. Sabrine's in the chat. Hey. How's that story coming, Sabrine? Yeah. Oh, I was like, what makes you sick? And then you said all those dicks. uh, yeah, I don't know. Today's a weird day. In case I'm having a hard time finding content. I'm glad Duchess is on. Yeah, I watch a couple of people totally not horror related and usually put up a vlog like on Monday or Sunday, and they didn't put one up. So it must be like across the board that or they're getting messed with the demonetization. Demonetization crap. This next one's short but equally disgusting. This says regular Florida man. That's all it's titled. And there's like 3 sentences. The creepiest thing he saw was a man wearing a Ku Klux Klan hat with eye holes. Nothing else. Like he just had the hat on. The weird hat. He didn't have any other clothes on. Masturbating. I biked past him in the woods on the way home in 7th grade. And they just say, yes, it was Florida. Like, is that something you expect to see in the woods in Florida? Who lives in Florida that can confirm this? Oh my God. Let's see, I've been writing here and there. I've been mainly focused on the mask making. Cool. Do you put those up? Do you put any of those up in your channel? I was thinking about sharing some of the stuff that I make, and I kind of want to make some horror related stuff too. But maybe I'll show you guys at the end if anyone's sticking around and wants to see what I've been working on outside of this, then I'll show you. But you came for the scary stories, so let's get into it. This one's titled, and it looks a little lengthy, but not good. Good. This one's titled, No One Was Around for Miles. I've spent various stretches of time backpacking and camping through the US and seen some strange things. My brother and I came across an abandoned trailer towns of sorts that scared the hell out of us. Oh, this is going to be good, I hope. We also came across a rundown town, like really, really small, out in northern New Mexico that seemed to have one person living in it. We based that on the fact that there was still some food and supplies there that were fairly fresh, perhaps just a few days old. Spent a couple days there trying to find the person, just to find out why they were staying in the town. But we never found anyone. We found the skeletal remains of an unknown number of deer, ranging from bucks to fawn, ensnared in a barbed wire fence that encompassed a 10 by 10 area in the Ozarks. A few of the skulls topped the fence posts, and there was one post in the middle of this area that had decaying deer bodies, looked to be 2. But there were only 6 hooves jutting out of the wreckage. Wrapped around it, we found a dummy hanging from a tree while in the Yukon Territory of Canada, literally out in the middle of nowhere, for no reason as far as we know. We also came across a dead junkie on a road out of Olympia, obvious OD, as he had his arms tied and a needle in hand. Eyes were glazed over and staring straight ahead, mouth slightly ajar. Okay, I thought that was going to lead to something, but hey, I hate that one. I think something's going to lead to somewhere. Let's see. That's long boring day for me as well. Thanks to Duchess, have something entertaining. Okay, no pressure. No pressures from me. I just want to show off a mask I made in a video here soon. Cool. Bye, Mia. Back to the stories. Okay. And this one is titled, A Goddamn Meth Lab. So me and a buddy chose some national forest in Oregon specifically for how remote it was. About a year prior, a family became lost and the father was never found, although mother and child lived to tell the tale. Anyway, we set up camp around 4 a.m. after getting pretty deep into the woods on a mountain accessed by logging roads, maybe about 100 to 200 yards from where we parked near a lake. Let's see here. Without much else to do, we started a fire, cracked some beers, the sun went down. Then pickup trucks started going through the woods, slowing down when they saw our campfire. We got curious and stupid via the beers and went deeper into the woods. Seemed like a hell of a party was going on. Then we stumbled into a clearing where maybe 15 to 20 dudes were hanging around a bonfire next to a mossy, rundown camper trailer. One had a pistol on his hip. Another was just chilling with a shotgun. We're like, oh shit, at first. But someone approaches us and acts neighborly and invites us to have a beer. So it seemed okay. They were joking around, mostly some talking about drugs, coke, meth. But there were some older dudes that seemed pretty tense. Now, as this happened, 4 or 5 dudes who seemed to be standing sentry at the camper, which didn't look like it had been moved in a long time, went inside for a few minutes. When they came back out, they said we were faggots and saw us making out. Quickly, I got up to head back to our campsite, but my slower, drunker buddy took a few punches. Then he made it out and started following. By then, we were sprinting through the forest into the darkness, just hoping to get back to our site by spotting the glowing embers of our burnt-out fire. The whole powders in tow. We found our site, and with pretty much everything in the tent, we pulled the stakes, tossed it in the trunk of the car, and we hear enraged screams only about 50 yards from us. Kill the faggots! So we were like, fuck it. Dropped the tent and gear without even saying a word to each other and sprinted in the direction of the car. Oh my gosh, now I have to go to the next page, and I hope that's... Oh, okay, here we go. So we peeled out. Sorry, it's loading. We peeled out, thought we were good. But about 30 seconds later, some headlights come up from behind us. I'm like, fuck, that's the truck the shotgun dude was chilling at. So now we're being pursued by crazy gun-toting rednecks with a superior vehicle in unfamiliar forest on unmaintained logging roads in the dark. And the only thing we can do is speed up. I remember looking at the speedometer as we approached a washed-out hairpin turn, and it was moving from 45 to 50, and the truck was tailing pretty close, like only a couple feet. And I was pretty sure that we were going to slide off the cliff and die. Somehow, my drunk-ass buddy managed to power slide that turn and get some distance between us and the tweakers, and we eventually made it to a paved 2-lane, at which point the truck pulled off. We put it together later that the camper was a meth lab. Nothing else it really could have been. Deep in the forest with armed guards and shit. But yeah, resulted in a drunken high-speed night chase on unfamiliar logging roads, and we nearly slid off a mountain. That sounds great. Sounds like a good time. Anybody else done that before? I'm just curious. Hey, tall guy. Hey. Which video did you love? Oh, working on a new sculpture. Cool. Cool. I wonder if tall guy's listening from the beginning, or is he current here? Who here has played Last of Us? Died with a needle arm. Damn, I hate needles. Funny thing is, I'm listening to this at Plasma Center, selling my life essence. Ooh. I feel ya. I've done that once before. I did that. It was like, I think it was like 2 years ago. And I just remember thinking, this can't be good for your body. This can't be good for your body. It can't be. And I felt so awful afterwards. I don't know. I just, ugh. Just showed up a few minutes ago. Hey, all right, so you're current with us? The classic meth lab back road car chase. Ah, yeah. Do that twice a week. Hey, Antonio. Hey. We are reading, we're somewhere in the middle here of 25 hikers and backpackers reveal the creepiest and scariest things they've ever found in the wild. And we're about halfway through, I think. We just got off a story about a meth lab in the middle of nowhere, so this one's titled Something Feels Off. When out exploring an old abandoned quarry with some friends, we found this dude stood staring at a rock, occasionally twitching, but he never turned around. We were pretty creeped out, so didn't investigate, and left pretty soon after. Later on that night, we found out that another friend was driving down the lane that runs parallel to the quarry. Found a guy in a black coat stood in the middle of the road and wouldn't move. She was pretty freaked out and had to reverse all the way back up the lane in the dark because he was still there. Pretty sure it was the same guy. Otherwise, it was just a really big coincidence. And then underneath it says proof. Proof? What's this? Somebody took a photo? Whoa. I'll show you guys the photo. Somebody took a photo of this dude just standing there staring at the rock. What the heck? Okay. Screenception. This is the picture they took of the guy that's just standing there staring at the rock. Let you guys take that in. I thought he was saying it was the middle of the night, but it's the middle of the day. It looks like he's leaning on that rock, though. It's not like he's back staring at it. It looks like he's leaning at it, so whatever. Some people are a little more dramatic than they need to be. Looks like a homeless dude, and that's like maybe his table. Money's tight, no choice. Let me see here. No choice. Take a lot of vitamins, drink a lot of water before you and after you keep your immune system, and you should be fine. Wait a minute. After what? That's my Uncle Lenny. He's different. It's a nice rock. I mean, it doesn't really indicate anything. The guy didn't look very thin. He looked like a large person. It's kind of hard to just tell what the heck we were looking at. Oh, it didn't matter. I still felt awful. I know it's a good thing for people that want like it's a if you need some cash or something really quick, it's not like it's a lot, and I feel like the people that do that could probably make some more money because the amount of money that the medical companies make off of it is disgusting. Like you don't even do some research and see how much that costs when they sell it. It's insane. Anyways, let's see here. This one's called A Circle. It doesn't look very long. So I was backpacking in New Hampshire and camped out for the night after a day hike. I wandered off from our fire to go take a piss and stumbled upon a circle etched into the ground with tuning forks surrounding the circle, standing up straight. It looked like a creepy ritual circle and it bugged me out, so I booked it back to the group. I mean, I guess if you just look at a picture, it's not going to be but I think that when you stumble onto something in the area that you're at, I mean, I guess trust your gut, right? Sometimes I think it sounds a little more dramatic than it needs to be, but maybe the feeling they got is what made them more scared because of the situation that they were in. Oh, you didn't see the picture that I shared, so you got to go back a little bit and see the picture of the rock I shared. Anyway, this one's titled "Could Have Been a Wendigo." I was once canoeing the boundary waters between Minnesota and Canada. These aren't your normal backyard ponds. The boundary waters are thousands of enormous lakes interconnected with each other. Think mini Great Lakes. We had been canoeing and camping along the lakes for about a week at this point. We didn't really have an itinerary, just planned to boat and camp and fish and live off the land for 2 weeks. We had a GPS and a phone to call a helicopter for pickup whenever we are done. It says a sat phone, so do you guys know what that is? I don't know what that is. I'm so dumb. Anyway, about a week in, and we were set to canoe a few hours to the next lake. An hour or so in, and we were at the center of an extremely long and narrow lake. Unfortunately, a storm started to blow in, and the waves on the lake swelled to 2+ feet. Too much for our dinky canoes. We pulled off to a random clearing on the shore and set up camp and rushed to avoid being totally thrashed by a rainstorm. We just set up camp and hunkered down for the night. By the next morning, it was cleared up. We started walking up the coast to go to the lake about 200 feet from our camp, looking for a good fishing spot. What we actually found was another campsite. However, it was absolutely wrecked. Trash strewn everywhere, tent collapsed and torn, clothes on the ground. At first, we were just like disgusted, like what assholes would do this, leave their shit out to be bear food. The more we looked around, though, the weirder things seemed. For one, their garbage was still hoisted into a tree to keep it safe from bears, but the whole bag was ripped open despite being 30 feet in the air. Secondly, literally everything except the canoes were still at the campsite. Clothes, packs, food, rope, pans, like a serious set of hiking equipment. Enough for 2 or 3 people. Half of it was trashed and torn open, mostly the packs, tent, and clothes. The other half was totally untouched, but thrown on the ground. Like somebody noped the hell out of there, and nothing but their long johns, ditching hundreds of dollars of gear in the process. We waited a couple of hours and eventually called it back to our helicopter crew. But they hadn't been aware of anybody else or gotten any distress calls. We eventually just left everything and moved camp. Everyone was pretty upset by it, and a day or two later we ended the whole trip early because it seemed like nobody wanted to be out anymore. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. First thought was bear attack, but there was food left uneaten. And I've seen bear attacks on camps before, but nothing like this. Bears rip open packs and go after food, and are generally pretty easy to scare away. But what still sticks with me is why all of their clothes and packs were still there, with half being totally destroyed and the other half being untouched. I still don't get it. I've done a lot of other camping and hiking, rafting, biking, all around the country, and I never had any other experiences like that. I mean, they could have had an emergency and left it. But again, the feeling while they're there could have been much creepier than, you know what I mean? You know what though, Gling? I think I was gonna live stream later, but I just couldn't. So today I just drink my beer. The kind of rock you don't want to get caught with. The mood can be 96% of a scare for me. Do you mean crack? Rock? What? Oh my god, I'm going up the chat here. Satellites that are on balloons, not fake ones orbiting the Earth because they don't make any sense. Oh boy. Satellites are fake? Okay. Oh wow. Rewatched your Wes Wary experiment videos leading to the latest. Oh, cool. Cool. Hey Rainer, holy crap, I haven't seen you in forever. I think I commented on one of your pictures on Instagram because it was so funny. It was just a picture of a grill in the middle of your yard. I'm like, look at it all smug. We are reading 25 Hikers and Backpackers reveal the creepiest, scariest things they found in the wild, which is obviously debatable as you listen to the stories, and we're a little more than halfway through. So maybe 3/4 of the way in. And then I have 10 real victims of the CIA's MK Ultra program to read after that. So we'll see how interesting that is. This one is titled "The Fog." That fog does crazy things to you. So I was hiking in the Hoh rainforest in the Olympic. I hope I pronounced that right. In the Olympic Peninsula in Washington back in '03. I was trying to do this really snazzy hike from the ocean to Mount Olympus. Well, day 1 is a blast. Get everything accomplished. Day 2, fog. Fog as thick as anything you can imagine. Can't get a decent GPS fix, so I'm pretty much blind. But I know if I follow the Hoh River upstream, I'll get to one of the campsites I'm going for. Day goes by, and the fog isn't clearing up at all. I get to a fairly big clearing and set up my tent. I grab a power bar and chill out as it starts getting to be the darkest black night I've ever experienced. I'm seriously a bit unnerved at the whole thing. Not scared as much as just anxious. About 2 in the morning, I start hearing this huffing noise, like Darth Vader, without a helmet on. My imagination starts going wild, and I reach for my flashlight. Pull the drawstring on the tent, little, very quietly, and poke my head out. Still dark as death. I hear noise coming from maybe 5 feet to my right, and at this point, I'm seriously rethinking my belief in Sasquatch. I poke my flashlight out and turn it on. I'm a few feet away from a massive Roosevelt elk who'd lost his way in the dark as well. He sees the flashlight, bolts the other way, tags a tree, and knocks himself clean out. I laid in the tent until I heard a groan, a bunch of commotion, and then the big guy grunt away. How's that scary? Oh my god. I guess he could have got squashed by it though. Hey, Deborah O'Connor, and welcome. Oh, I see how you are, Rainer. All right, all right. Fog is mysterious. Oh, good. Okay, good. One whole lame story. I know. Boo. Boo. All right, this one's titled, "Oh, that's really creepy." Bushwalking in NSW, Australia, me and my friend came across this weird platform looking thing made out of rocks. Later that year, the cops arrested some bloke on suspicion of murders of a series of backpackers who had gone missing over the course of a few years. And at the sites of several of the murders slightly off in the bush were these altars. Current affairs show runs footage of one, the trial and run up to were all over the news. And yeah, it's the same thing that we had found. The altars were typically no more than 300 yards from the victims' shallow graves. The guy who was arrested and subsequently convicted of the murders is Ivan Milat, Australia's worst serial killer. Cops are pretty sure that at least one other person was involved in the murders than the one that is now in jail for the crime. They just couldn't prove it. Oh my God. Yikes. Somebody requested that I do Ivan Milat, but I don't think I ever did. I'm starting to lose track of the serial killers I've done. And by the way, I need to take a break from that. Like, I've done Pedro Lopez and Enriqueta Marquis are probably, up there in the worst serial killers that have existed in history. Yet I had never heard of them until I did Serial Killer Saturday. However, accidentally looking at the photos of the BTK killer and the drawings he did, and I hate to say he only killed ... because killing anyone is awful. Self-defense is different. I'm gonna take that to my grave, but seeing those and just sometimes I need a break from it. I just do. So everyone's gonna get mad at me now because I don't do Serial Killer Saturday. I literally am like, I know that I'm gonna get at least one thumbs down when I don't do a Serial Killer Saturday. But I even got one this past week anyway. Come on. Gotta let my dog in. There's a bunch of houses getting built on my block. And so there's constantly construction workers and sounds and new vehicles all over the place all the time. And it drives my dog insanely crazy. And drives me a little crazy. Let me see here. Doing good, Vinny. Hey. Yeah. Here you go. Here, honey. There you go. Give my dog a snack. She likes Slim Jims. All right. Who's leaving? Got to get disconnected. Oh, all right. Hey, Tim Willis. Hey. All right. So we're like 3/4 through this. 25 hikers and backpackers reveal the creepiest, scariest things they found in the woods, which is debatable as we go along. This one is titled, "That Image Scared Me at First Viewing." Oh boy. And there are links, so I'm going to look at them first and find out if I should even skip this. And I'll share them with you. Oh. I was out fossil hunting in a wash after a thunderstorm the night before. I figured I had to uncover a bit of stuff down in the steam bed, and I found this. All right, so I'll share it with you. So if you're like glancing down into the abyss here, it's not letting me share. Here we go. Hold on. Screenception. So looking down, she sees this. Just imagine, though, glancing down and seeing that. And that's cleaned out now. That's funny. It'd be scary if it was like a kid's Halloween mask, but whatever. Let's see. That beefy, juicy taste. What? Her name is Trixie, and she is a mix of border collie and boxer. She's crazy hyper. She's 5.5 years old, but she's still crazy puppy hyper. And she had almost an identical twin. If you go to my Instagram, you can see pictures. But her sister passed away in June. She had like tumors on her stomach, and we got those taken out. And when they had them examined at the lab, found out that they were cancer, and it was so aggressive that they didn't expect her to make it long. And after the surgery, I think she made it not even a whole month. But proof that Jason has been killed. Hello, Elizabeth. That's funny as hell. Nope, someone's gonna pick it up, and then that's gonna be the next killer. Dun dun dun. Oh, she's crazy hyper. She's a lover. She's a lover. All right, this next one's titled 3 Stories. So, oh, good. At least it's more than 2 sentences. Let's see if they're any good. Let's dive in. So, number 1. I went on a 5-day gold panning trip with a couple of buddies of mine. We drove 6 hours down unused logging roads. Again, we're talking totally overgrown roads with trees having to be removed from the road to pass. We saw not one human the entire time we were out there, except for one on the 3rd night at 3 a.m. So we're sitting around the fire, drinking some beers, swatting at bugs, shooting the shit, when I hear something. I look over and notice some lights in the trees. What the fuck? It's a truck driving up the logging road we had cleared ourselves to get there at 3 a.m. The truck gets up to where we are, pulls into where we made camp, a small turnoff spot for logging trucks, sits there for 10 seconds while we all kind of stare in shock at one another. I get up and start walking toward the truck to say hello and ask what the hell they're doing out there at 3 a.m. on an abandoned logging road when the truck just backs up, turns around, and drives off the way it came. The guy just drove 6 hours down logging roads all through the night, sees us, and leaves without saying a word. We're all sitting there going, what the fuck? We all figured this guy was driving down the road, getting out and coming back to kill us in our sleep. Next morning, we head down the road. Nothing. They didn't set up a camp or anything. They just left. We figured we were likely camped out near a grow up for one of the gangs. Hell's Angels, most likely. That's a large assumption. And they were coming out to check on who would come out to their spot. Or they were there to pick the crop in the middle of the night. I don't know. Don't assume stuff like that. This may sound stupid. Number 2 of this 3 said. So one time, driving down a bunch of logging roads at night, 4 a.m., looking, why do they like these logging roads? Like, okay, what have we learned here, children? Don't play with Ouija boards. And clearly, don't go down logging roads. Moving on. One time driving down a bunch of logging roads at night, 4 a.m., I guess, looking for a campsite we had driven past. We took a wrong turn and drove right into a drug operation cashing out the crop. We turn a corner and blam, floodlights, and like 15 guys all staring at us in the middle of the forest down logging roads. We just sort of turned around and got the fuck out of there. Huh, this is a lot like the first story, except I'm in the creep in the truck. Ha! Number 3. So one time, and then I scanned down too far, now I can't see what I was going to read. Awesome. One time, I was out hiking in the backwoods with a buddy of mine. Way out there with nobody in sight. In the evening, I start to gather some wood for a campfire that evening, and I pull this stick out of the trees. The stick is maybe 5 feet long, 3 inches wide. Looks like a nice walking stick. Straight and mostly smooth. Then I notice that one end of the stick is really smooth. Like it's been whittled by someone. I'm thinking, oh wow, what are the odds of that? It is a walking stick. Someone has carved a smooth handle in one end. No. It's not a handle. It's a dick. Someone had carved the end of this stick into a dick. Someone was fucking in the forest. Literally. This wasn't some crude carving, just FYI. This was a work. Like the person put hours into carving it. And it was a very good carving. This was 6 inches, a 6-inch dong carved with love and feeling, right down to it having bulging veins and other fine details. What the fuck? So I took this dick stick back to camp and threatened to poke my buddy with it, yelling that the forest was going to give him tree AIDS. Oh my god. And again, sorry in advance because I don't read these before you guys hear them. Oh my god. Ouija freaks me out and I'm not even superstitious. And tarot? Ain't nobody gonna do that. Oh my god. That's crazy. That's hilarious. These should be titled Hilarious Things People Found in the Woods. This one is, I think we're almost done with these ones too. Just a couple more. Just a couple more. Maybe not just a couple, there's quite a few more. But anyway, this content and situation will surprise you. So I found an old Super 8 camera up on Springer Mountain. God, get it together. In Georgia. My mom had an old projector, so we played the film. And it turned out to be a couple having sex in an anthill. How do you have one in an anthill? You mean on an anthill? Why? That's a desperate move to spice things up. What? On an anthill? I'm going to check the chat. Who's done this? Hey, Schmeister. Hey. Glad you could join the party. Yeah, we've got some stuff left. Yeah. This one is titled Don't Follow the Music. I lived in a national park by myself for 3 months. Several times when I was going back to my trailer for the day, I would hear music like a music box or an ice cream truck. It was always loud and sounded like it was coming from somewhere over my head. One day I decided to look for the source, so I followed the dirt road past my trailer. The music continued. I couldn't tell if I was getting closer or not. I had my eyes on the trees and looked down just in time to avoid stepping on a snake. I scrambled back, but it didn't move. I realized it was dead and I wasn't alone. There were a half-dozen dead copperheads stretched out in the road, looking in the same direction. I went back to get my car because I couldn't bring myself to step over them. But by the time I got my keys, the music had stopped, and I didn't hear it again. Sometime after this, my friends told me there was a haunted prison in the same park, the P Farm. So that was good to know. Ooh, I should write that down. That sounds interesting. I'm gonna look in that. I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look into that. Got my memo out. Is there any requests you guys want while I'm thinking about it? Haunted prison, P Farm. I mean, I don't even know if that's true, but got my notes out so I can jot it down. Sometimes I lose those notes, but this time I'm taking it in my phone, so. Was that a reverse Medusa? Yeah. Ants biting certain parts, not fun and not good unless you're into S&M. Yeah. Hey, Paul. Hey. Hey. So I tried to alternate today. Like next week, it'll be like at 8 p.m. And then the week after that, I'll do it like 3 or 5 so that everybody across the board can come and listen, because I know that when I have it later in the evening, you UK folks are fast asleep, or most likely will be soon. So, what'd that say? I know some people are freaky, but damn. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Anyways, this one is titled, That's Really Weird. So over the years, when I've told this story, many people haven't believed me, but it's true as the sky is blue. So me and my brother were hiking out in our new backwoods. We had just moved into a new house, and we stumbled upon a small open grass field. In the center of it, There was a person with a blue jacket crouched over. We thought it was a friend of ours and that we had met pretty recently, so I ran out to meet them. I didn't have my glasses on, but I got pretty close. Close enough to see that it was a grown man leaned over the carcass of a deer, stabbing it with an unsharpened stick. He stood up and saw me. I was pretty freaked out, so I turned around and yelled at my brother to run. So we started to sprint as fast as we could home. I mean, that's weird, but is that really like, am I missing some details? That's weird. Yeah, it didn't really go anywhere though. It's like it seemed like it was going to go somewhere crazy, didn't it? And then wah wah wah. Crazy. All right, this one is titled "Watch Out for These Kind of Farmers." Oh God, please be good. So when I was 19, I spent a lot of time wandering the West Coast. I was a pretty naive girl. I decided to backpack to Lost Coast, close to Eureka, California. And as I was driving the long single lane dirt road to get to the starting point, I noticed a completely out of place Escalade tailgating me hard. I finally pulled over and let them pass. Not long after, I get to what looks like a tiny little grocery store. The only other car there is the Escalade. I head inside and see four huge guys talking to the shop owner behind the counter. These guys were enormous. All four were easily around 6'4", 6'6", and three of them looked like pure iron. The leader had the longest dreads I had ever seen. These guys were tough, and their persona resonated all the way to the door where I was standing. They immediately stopped talking and looked at me. They were not smiling, and the dreadlock fellow had scars all over his face. I turned around and walked out, headed down to the coast and did my backpacking thing. When I finished, I hitched a few rides back to my car. The different locals who picked me up told me stories about the massive amounts of marijuana being grown in the area and the patrols used to secure the crops. They thoroughly warned me not to camp in the area and to never leave the road. People die out here, they said. So yeah, California pot mafia. See? But now that it's legal, you don't need to do shit like that anymore. Haha. Dum dum. Dun dun dun. I guess no one found that comment as funny as I did. What was the comment? Just scary true stories is what I like hearing from you. Oh God. Okay. Dun 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 dun. I think we're like, there's a couple more of these left. Okay. So that one was a letdown, wasn't it? Okay. So it was a weird, weird sight. That's what it's titled. So let's not get too hopeful on this one. A cage. Not like a trapping cage or anything, but something that could easily hold 5 to 10 average-sized people. I was hiking in the mountains just above the house I lived in at the time in Missoula. What's MT? Is that Montana? I feel so stupid right now. Anyway, took about 45 minutes walking, mostly uphill and without a path to get to the spot. Round steel bars for the edges and rope instead of chain link for the walls and ceiling. It was all set up just on the far side of the ridgeline I was walking, so it couldn't be seen, I suppose. Nothing around it, no footprints or tire tracks or anything. The rope looked undamaged as well. No idea what it was for, but it definitely creeped me the fuck out. Nice. That's beautiful. All right. It was creepy, but the ending tops it off. That's what this is titled. So my dad and I were out camping in the mountains. We had set up our tents, and then we heard screams in the woods. We as black folk, that's how it's written. That's not what I'm saying. That's how it's written. We as black folks don't stick around to find out what's going on, so we packed up our stuff and drove to a different part. We thought it was mountain folk eating people or something. We drove down by the store and told the clerk that we heard screams. Turns out it was an orgy for people who dress up in animal costumes, and he was telling us that they've been doing this for years. Oh my God. What? You couldn't have warned some people? Just send them up there. They'll find out, I guess. Nice. Nice. That's beautiful. Okay, this one's titled So Much Fear. So once a friend and I were driving on an old dirt road way out in the sticks in South Alabama, past an old 19th century cemetery, when out of nowhere, a truck starts tailgating us. This was really late at night, and even in the daytime, it would have been rare to see a vehicle, so we were severely creeped out. I speed up, and the truck stays right on my bumper. I'm now driving as fast as I can without flying off the road on this small, windy dirt road. Think Dukes of Hazzard, only in a Volvo station wagon. And I still can't shake the truck. My buddy who was with me knew the area well and said that we were about to hit a paved road, a T-bone intersection, and that there was also another small dirt road coming off at a sharp angle from that intersection. He said that if I could get ahead just enough to get out in immediate sight of the truck, then I could cut the wheel hard to the left and whip onto the spur road and hopefully ditch the truck. I did what he said. But right when I start the turn of the T-bone, I see what looks like an incredibly tall person just inside the tree line across the paved road, covered head to toe in long hair. As I'm turning, I shout, "Holy shit, do you see?" And before I can finish, my friend says, "That big, tall, hairy guy." I finish the turn, we ditch the truck, get the hell out of there, but to this day, we really don't know what we saw. I mean, could adrenaline maybe have altered your eyesight? It's crazy. I'm just picturing being in this car that's flying around, seeing a cousin It. What's going on? I see someone threatening someone in the comment section. What's going on here? What's going on here? Oh God. Yeah, that was whew. Yikes. You. Furry story. Gross. To each his own. But yeah, you should warn people if that goes on in your woods. You should at least warn people that don't want to partake or hear it or be near it. Gross. Anyways, this one's titled, It Rubs the Lotion on Its Skin. It does this whenever it's told. Ew. Silence of the Lambs reference if you haven't seen the movie, anybody. Anyway, so we're hiking alone at, not we're, I am hiking alone at dusk doing a 5-mile loop in the Santa Monica Mountains in Los Angeles. I see another lone hiker approaching me from the opposite direction. As he gets closer, I suddenly realize I know this person. It's the guy who played Jamie Gum, aka Buffalo Bill, in Silence of the Lambs. We get within 3 feet of each other. He looks at me. He sees the lightning bolt of recognition on my face. His sad and resigned expression back said it all. Yes, I'm him. No, I'm not really a serial killer. I walked briskly by him anyway, and didn't look back until I was a good 100 yards down the trail. Yeah. Holy shit, that's awesome and hilarious at the same time. Puts the lotion in the basket. Playing Rainbow Six Siege at the same time. Interesting. This one's titled Good Thing They Didn't Open It, and it's really short. So my buddies and I found a cooler in a gully while camping. It was dark and we left it. But authorities found it a few weeks later, and there was a body in it. So that's cool. Wow, the one story that would have been scary if they would have elaborated at all. All right, this one's titled, "This is the creepiest one of all." Too many weirds and creepies to list, so let's just go with the most recent. Behold the mysterious alpine cucumber, found only in the Pacific Northwest in early spring somewhere 3,500 feet or 1,000 meters. Okay, so let's look at it. Dun, 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 dun. It better be interesting. I tell you that. These people that write these stories, man. Ridiculous. All right, let's see. What is it? What? Oh, so they're saying someone just left a cucumber 3,500 feet up. That's crazy. But is that scary? No. Are they implying something about that? Maybe. I don't know. Ew. Oh, was that it? That might be it. That might be it for those. Hold on. Deborah O'Connor, thank you. Oh, I can do a damn good Buffalo Bill impersonation. Yeah, we should talk about doing something like that. That would be really. I'd like to hear Silence of the Lambs retold. Yeah, definitely. Listening to this and playing. Okay. Well, thank you, Deborah O'Connor. That's really nice. Thank you. Let me see if this is it for these, because I think that was the last page of those. And it was. Let me see this. And now we are on. Oh, Big Papa Home Tricks. We are on 10 real victims of the CIA's MK Ultra program. And a lot of them probably have photos and videos. But I can, wow. Okay, so this first person is Ken Kesey or Kesey. I'm not sure. My dog's gonna bark. You can do a pretty good Hannibal. I volunteer to be Hannibal. Yikes. That's that movie. Yeah. I'd be the red hair girl. The one that gets stuck in the hole or the investigator? I asked my husband if he wanted anything special from the grocery store when I went today. And he said surprise him, so I got him superhero cookies. Like that you put in a 5-year-old's lunchbox. I just use the scene from The Office as reference. Yes, where he cuts the face off the dummy. That's so funny. The investigator got you. All right. So Kesey, Ken Kesey is the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and a source of inspiration in the counterculture movement. Was first exposed to LSD and other psychedelic drugs as part of the MK Ultra project while still a graduate student at Stanford University. He came to be involved in the study almost by accident, as a neighbor of Kesey's, a psychologist, signed up for the project but had to back out at the last minute. An outstanding athlete and a straight-laced individual up to that point, Kesey had never done any sort of drug and had never tasted alcohol. At one time of the experiments, Kesey was in training for the 1960 Olympics, as he had earned a place on the wrestling team as an alternate. Despite Allen Ginsberg's insistence, Kesey did not believe that the project was sponsored by the CIA, and not until decades later did Kesey discover the program's true intent. And this is a quote that says, "The testing wasn't being done to try to cure insane people, which is what we thought. It was being done to try to make people insane, to weaken people, and to be able to put them under the control of the interrogators." Of course, the resulting effect of the LSD did not weaken Kesey, as psychedelics came to be a tool of enlightenment for the author and cultural icon. Cassie noted that the CIA experimentation helped in evoking the kind of epiphanies that ultimately served as the foundation for the counterculture movement that would soon follow. There's another quote that says, "We suddenly realized that there was a lot more to this world than we previously thought. One of the things that I think came out of this is that there's room. We don't all have to be the same. We don't have to be Baptist coast to coast. We can throw in some Buddhists and some Christians and people who are just thinking these totally strange thoughts about the Irish leprechauns, that there's room spiritually for everybody in this universe." While still undergoing the CIA testing, Cassie took a job at the project facility, noting that his status as an employee gave him access to several experimental drugs. While Cassie's friends and many others were able to make LSD on their own after testing, Cassie acknowledged that the government had the best LSD around, saying that the homemade LSD never was anywhere as good as that good government stuff. That's the government. The CIA always has the best stuff. I did not know that the guy that wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was supposedly, and it's not a supposed, it's many people dispute MK Ultra as being a fact, and yeah, it's crazy. Let me see. Let's see if you guys want to see this. There's a little video of him, so I can show you who he is. But Ken Kesey on This is him on LSD, supposedly. So I will show this to you guys. I almost accidentally pressed stop broadcast on accident. Sorry about that. This is Ken Kesey. Hold on. That's it. It's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds long. But he's one of the more positive experimental drugs. Test subjects. Most of the ones that I've heard about have been badly damaged and abused. This next one is actually Whitey Bulger, an infamous gangster who evaded capture for decades before finally being arrested in 2011. Bulger was exposed to LSD testing while in a federal prison in Atlanta in exchange for a lighter sentence. I wonder how often that happens, actually. So for 18 months, Bulger and his other inmates were subjected to drug testing, which Bulger described in his notebook as horrible LSD experiences, followed by thoughts of suicide and deep depression. He was so deeply and negatively affected by the project that Bulger compared the program's doctor to Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor responsible for the horrific human experimentation conducted at concentration camps. Bulger's anxiety was compounded by his inability to ask for help or disclose what he was experiencing, as he feared that telling anyone of his visual and auditory hallucinations would lead to lifelong commitment in an insane asylum. The effects of the LSD on Bulger were such that the mobster reflected on the irony of his situation in his notebook, writing, "I was in prison for committing a crime and feel they committed a worse crime on me." That's debatable. The gangster was apparently so enraged after learning of the program's intent and the effects it had on others that he strongly considered tracking down Dr. Kyle Pfeiffer, the pharmacologist who oversaw the program, with the goal of assassination. Oh, I'm pretty sure he probably almost made that happen. Have any of you guys heard of these people? I know who Whitey was. I own a movie about him called Black Mass. I haven't seen that yet, so no more LSD for me. Yeah, our town has somebody named Ironically, no pun, no reference to The Office, but his name is Dwight, and he rides around on a bike. Um, like my entire life, I've seen this guy, and he's an older man, and it'll be summer out, and he'll have like 3 coats on, and he's always riding a bike with a helmet on and a big orange flag. And sometimes you'll see him like 5 miles out of town on a road that doesn't have a sidewalk or anything late at night, and it's so dangerous. And I'm like, man, he was gonna get hit by a car because these people are terrible out here. But the story is that he had a bad acid trip in his teens, and he just never really recovered from it. But yeah, yeah, I couldn't understand a word he was saying. Oh, sorry about that. Could have been the connection though too, because right now I've got the microphone right next to my mouth, and if I play it for you, I have to unplug my headset so it's not as loud. So this next guy, and these are like people, well-known people. A lot of victims, and you can look in YouTube for MK Ultra and see trials about it. And there's people that still deny that there's people that deny that the Holocaust existed or even happened. And there's many people that deny that MK Ultra trials happened. And there's many people, including a reputable, intelligent person who voluntarily involved himself in the project as an experiment, who can confirm without a doubt that it occurred. So Robert Hunter is number 8 of 10. We're going backwards with this. He was a lyricist and longtime collaborator of the Grateful Dead's Jerry Garcia. With the Grateful Dead's Jerry Garcia. Robert Hunter was exposed to the same testing as Kessie, though he had no idea that it was part of the MK Ultra project until many years later. Hunter had a very different experience from Bulger, saying the following in an interview with Reuters in 2013. So these are his words. He says, I couldn't figure out why they were paying me to take these psychedelics. What they wanted me to do was check if I was more hypnotizable when I was on them. It was hard to pay attention to what the hell they were talking about, much less be hypnotized. It was the first time I had had any of this stuff, and the drugs in themselves were rather spectacular. Nobody had had my experiences, and it was at least 2 years before those drugs started getting out on the street. It was like a secret club of one. So as a songwriter, Hunter is responsible for some of the world's most cherished songs, including Ripple, Uncle John's Band, Dark Star, and Box of Rain. And his talents will be honored in the summer of 2015. Obviously, this article is old. When he is scheduled for enshrinement into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, joining the likes of Bob Dylan. What do you go through? Okay. Through the CIA testing, Hunter was the first of his social circle to try LSD by a few years. So when Garcia took LSD for the first time, it was Hunter who advised him, go home, put on a Ravi Shankar record, and just listen to the music. Well, at least he wasn't telling him to go drive around. I don't know. Have you guys ever heard any of this stuff? Man, I don't know any of these people. I heard of Whitey on Coast to Coast. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know why anybody would voluntarily do something that could really mess you up. Huh. Mail truck's really loud outside. Anyway, this is number 7, Harold Bauer. Ooh, this skipped up a bench here. Harold Blower, was a professional tennis player who competed against the likes of Bill Titan, widely considered as one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Following a bout with depression that was at least partially caused by his recent divorce, Blower checked himself into the New York State Psychiatric Institute, where he was diagnosed with a pseudo-neurotic schizophrenic. He checked in during early December 1952, and he would be dead just over a month later. Oh boy. Though he was improving and was scheduled for release from the institute, doctors began treating Blower with a series of injections that, as it turned out, were a derivative of mescaline. These injections were administered through some of the doctors that had no idea what they were injecting, with Dr. James Cattell later telling investigators, "We didn't know whether it was dog piss or what it was we were giving him." Dr. Cattell was acting on a classified agreement between the Institute and the Army Chemical Corps to test various chemicals for potential use in warfare, and one of the injections given to Blauer ultimately killed him. There was an extensive cover-up, and not until 1975 did the government finally admit to Blauer's family that it had injected him with the mescaline derivative that caused his death. In 1987, the family sued the government for its involvement in the subsequent cover-up, winning a $700,000 judgment. While Blauer was tested, oh boy, I don't know what that was. While Blauer was tested as part, there was something loud fell down, but it was my husband, not a skinwalker. Anyway, while Blauer was tested as part of an agreement made with the Army Chemical Corps, the principal researcher at the New York State Psychiatric Institute was Dr. Paul Hosch, a CIA consultant on the MK Ultra project. Though the Army technically funded the experimentation conducted by the Institute, Blauer's death is often considered one of the casualties of the MK Ultra due to the involvement of Dr. Hoch, a driving force behind the project who eventually rose to the position of Commissioner of Mental Hygiene for the state of New York. And it's people like him that are responsible for the shame of having a mental illness and the lack of ability to ever recover or come out of there, okay? Man. What if my husband is a skinwalker? Oh, no. Oh. They cut out his tongue. Who cut out whose tongue? Who was this now? I gotta scroll up. The Vatican led now controls the mafia. Oh, wow. That's deeper than I... Back to the things here. All right, this is number 6, and it's titled James Stanley. James Stanley seemed to have a very promising military career in front of him before he volunteered for an experiment that involved testing gas masks and protective clothing. He enlisted at the age of 15 and became a master sergeant at just 20, making him one of the youngest in the military to hold such a rank. His career took a turn after he volunteered to test the gas masks, and Stanley claims that his rapid decline was the result of being exposed to LSD that had been put in the subject's drinking water. He did not learn that he was exposed to LSD until 1975, when the Army followed up on the experiment by contacting him. He then realized that his odd behavior and feelings of confusion were the result of chemical testing that he had not agreed to. He sued the Army for the testing, but initially lost his case for troubling reasons. According to the Supreme Court, it didn't matter whether his allegations were true. He lacked standing to sue because military personnel can't sue the government or their superiors for damages, no matter how severe or even unconstitutional they may be. This rationale, oh my gosh. This rationale irked Supreme Court Justice William J. Brennan greatly, and his dissent ultimately led Congress to pass a bill ensuring that Stanley could be compensated. In 1996, 18 years after he initially filed suit and 9 years after the Supreme Court's ruling, Stanley was finally awarded $400,577, the maximum amount allowed under the congressional bill. I mean, what's that going to do? The guy's whole life was ruined. Jesus. Guy's whole life was ruined. I wonder if this is why a lot of veterans end up homeless, though, because of shit like that they can't prove, that they just don't have either the family support to back them up or to stand up for them when they've been beat to a pulp. Ooh, ooh, ooh. When you said Whiting's tongue and then you push that, like, put that little dagger emoji up, my tongue was like, ew. Remember last live stream I had bit my tongue really hard that day, remember? I was having a hard time talking. Number 5 is Wayne Ritchie. Okay, let's see. A deputy U.S. Marshal and veteran of the Marine Corps, Wayne Ritchie claims that he was unknowingly dosed while at a holiday party with other federal officers in December of 1957. In a sworn deposition given as part of the lawsuit Ritchie later filed, Ira Feldman, a CIA agent involved in the MK Ultra program, explained the manner in which he observed the unknowing citizens he had personally drugged with LSD. He says you just sit back, away, and let them worry, like this nitwit Ritchie. Wow. He said this before going on to acknowledge that Ritchie's dosage was a full head and that Ritchie was targeted because he deserved to suffer. The evening he was exposed to LSD, Ritchie began to act erratically and felt an overwhelming sense of anxiety and worthlessness. After having an argument with his girlfriend in which she said she wanted him to move away from San Francisco, Ritchie armed himself with his government-issued service revolver and tried to get the money for a plane ticket by robbing a bar in the Fillmore district. During the robbery attempt, someone at the bar knocked Ritchie out, and by the time he regained consciousness, police officers were already there to arrest him. Though he pled guilty to attempted armed robbery, Ritchie was sentenced to just 5 years of probation and a fine of $500. He was also forced to resign from the U.S. Marshals and went on to paint houses as his primary source of income. More than 40 years after the incident, Ritchie learned of the CIA program and that it had tested LSD and other drugs on unwitting citizens in the San Francisco area. He filed suit, and while it was dismissed, the court acknowledged that it was quite possible that Ritchie was drugged by the CIA, but his behavior was more likely the result of some undiagnosed organic condition that was probably exacerbated by his consumption of alcohol. As for the seemingly damning testimony of Feldman, the guy that made the snide comments, the court held that Ritchie's lawyer should have worked to elicit a more precise response, noting in its ruling that although Feldman had made several comments in his depositions suggesting that he was involved in drugging Ritchie, the district court's determination that Ritchie did not prove Feldman's involvement is not clearly erroneous. Feldman may have been lying to provoke defense counsel, trying to be funny, or simply speaking imprecisely when he made the purported admissions. Ritchie's lawyer asked no follow-up questions that might have elicited more detail about Feldman's vague assertions. Oh my God. The guy got screwed in every single way possible. This is making me sad. Bye. Sorry, Duchess, I have to head out. Everyone have a nice day. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up after these are done anyway. Yeah. So we're this is number 4, counting backwards from 10. Ruth Kelly. So, as a singer and a waitress at a San Francisco bar, Ruth Kelly was unknowingly given LSD before performing on stage. George H. White, a veteran of the U.S. Bureau of Narcotics, who headed up part of the MK Ultra program called Operation Midnight Climax, found Kelly attractive, but resistant to his advances. So either he or one of his dead men dosed her with LSD before her performance. According to a deposition by a CIA investigator, the LSD definitely took some effect during her act. She was able to finish her set, but rushed off to the hospital immediately afterward. Kelly was released when the effects of the LSD eventually wore off. Liz Evans, a San Francisco prostitute who worked with White as part of an Operation Climax, corroborated the story, saying that White drugged a really pretty blonde-haired waitress at the Black Sheep bar. Her name was Ruth, and George wanted her to take part in things, but she had no interest. Those things Evans referred to included the use of prostitutes to lure Johns into a CIA safe house on Telegraph Hill in San Francisco. Once there, prostitutes dosed their clients, while CIA agents observed the effects of the drug through a two-way mirror. The house was recently renovated, and construction crews found microphones hidden in the walls and other recording equipment that had been disguised as electrical outlets. Holy shit. That's insane. That's insane. Oh my God. And these stories are just scratching the surface. Um, this program reached far and wide, and many believe it still goes on in unclassified as an unclassified project. So if I go missing, you guys better like know that that's why. They listened to this and they came after me. Number 3, Dr. Robert Hyde. Though Dr. Albert Hoffman first discovered LSD in 1943, it did not arrive in the United States from Switzerland until 1949. It was at this time that Robert Hyde, one of the top psychiatrists at Boston Psychopathic Hospital, was convinced to become perhaps the first American subjected to LSD testing. This was after a visit from Otto Cotters, a Viennese doctor who had lectured on LSD's use at inducing psychosis. So these doctors would use themselves as guinea pigs just to see what the effects were. So after meeting with Cotters, the doctors at Boston Psychopathic believed that if LSD could indeed induce a psychosis similar to schizophrenia, that there was a strong possibility of finding an antidote to the condition as well. Okay, that's the first legitimate reason I've heard of this existing. Anyways, so Hyde's experience with LSD did not yield much in the way of clear psychosis, but the doctors at the hospital noticed that their colleague was acting strangely after taking 100 micrograms of the substance. During his rounds, he became quite paranoid, saying that we had not given him anything. He also berated us and said that the company had cheated us, given us plain water. That was not Dr. Hyde's normal behavior. He's a very pleasant man. While Hyde's LSD encounter was hardly of note aside from his possible status as the first test subject, the doctor ultimately went on to accept government funding through the CIA to test LSD on patients. Whether Dr. Hyde was aware of the CIA's intent with regard to the testing is a matter for debate, but he was receiving annual funds of $40,000 to test the effects of LSD on patients at various facilities with which he was associated. Nice. Yeah. So we're all a result of that generation. Some papers from Freedom of Information. Wow. The LSD still circulating, though? I thought it was supposed to be a secret government property. Acid? People call it acid, and it still circulates. They just change it. It'll be like pills, or it'll be paper, or it'll be something. But somebody's always trying to make it better. Yeah. Number 2, technical services staff, TSS agents. The CIA had multiple units working on MK Ultra related testing, including the Office of Security and the Technical Services staff. These units worked under the direction of Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, a chemist who approved the clandestine LSD testing on unwitting citizens. Gottlieb was interested in the effects of LSD as it related to interrogation, but he also believed that dosing public figures without their knowledge could serve several purposes, including discrediting someone in a position of power by making them appear foolish in a very public setting. Now, if you think that doesn't still go on, it does. Think about that for a second. Let that fact sit in for 1 second. When someone's telling something crazy that turns out to be true, but no one initially believes them because they seem wacko, I'm sure that there's a reason for that. So before subjecting the public to these tests, TSS agents, not TSA, that would be great. Anyway, TSS agents first tested LSD in-house, experimenting on themselves in controlled settings to observe the effect of the drug. Gottlieb recognized, however, that a controlled setting was not the same as public setting, so he allowed the TSS agents to begin dosing each other at the office. The targeted agent would have no prior knowledge, though, that they would be informed after the dose had been successfully administered so agents could prepare for the effects that were about to set in. This sort of testing quickly expanded. Other agents at the CIA were dosed by their fellow agents, and their superstitious dosing was ultimately considered an occupational hazard among operatives. Security personnel became concerned that the agents in TSS were becoming unhinged due to their frequent LSD use, and matters came to a head when a plot to spike the punch bowl at the annual CIA Christmas party was revealed. I'm sorry, that's funny. They were going to do it to themselves. In a memo, officials made it clear that LSD could very well produce serious insanity for periods of 8 to 18 hours, possibly longer, and that CIA officials strongly opposed any sort of LSD testing in the Christmas punch bowls, usually present at the Christmas office parties. Oh, there goes my voice, but can you imagine that? Oh my God. I'm sorry, that just sounds like the worst Christmas party ever. About the hookers, a lot redacted. Oh, yeah. I mean, can you imagine requesting information about the CIA's MK Ultra project sent to your house so you could read it in full? Mm-hmm. That's that they're just gonna send it to you? I don't think so. They're not gonna send you everything. It's the CIA. Probably listening to this conversation right now. Don't thank God no don't use your real name in here for the love of God. Anyway, yikes. This is the last one of these ones. And it's titled the person is George H. White. The TSS agents were not the only CIA operatives to get carried away with the use of LSD. As George H. White, the aforementioned head of Operation Midnight Climax, and an agent with the U.S. Bureau of Narcotics, did far more than experiment with the LSD and other drugs he had at his disposal. Though White was a real hardhead, whose subordinates were pretty much afraid to do anything without his full approval, White got pretty loose during his time operating the CIA safe house in San Francisco. Neighbors frequently complained about the activities that were going on at the safe house, as there were frequent scenes in which men with guns and shoulder straps were chasing after women in various states of undress. My God. White acknowledged that his use of LSD had an effect on his ability to conduct himself in a professional manner, saying, "Clear thinking was non existent while under the influence of any of those drugs. I did feel at times like I was having a mind expanding experience, but this vanished like a dream immediately after the session." White later made his appalling intentions clear with regard to Operation Midnight Climax and his other professional pursuits in a letter to Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, saying, "I was a very minor missionary, actually a heretic, but I toiled wholeheartedly in the vineyards because it was fun, fun, fun. Where else could a red-blooded American boy lie, kill, cheat, steal, rape, and pillage with the sanction and blessing of all the highest?" Exactly. Exactly. Disgusting. And that's what makes it completely unfunny. Yeah, maybe don't put your real name. Here's a tip. Don't ever. Hey, Slumber, what the how's it going? Hey. Slumber's got a channel in case you don't know. So does Nightmare Files and so does Mr. Sabrine. Forgot to say that. Usually I mention that though when I see anybody with the channel come in. And I think Antonio's got a channel. Who else is here that's got a channel? Raise your hand though. Yeah, don't ever put your real name as your screen name. Like even if you don't have a channel and you just like to be on here, like Deborah, Jerry, Elizabeth. Because in case you haven't noticed, there's a lot of Tara. There's a lot of crazy people on here, and you don't need them tracking you down because you never know when somebody's going to stumble. Look up your Facebook and look at pictures of your house and where you live, and I'm not trying to freak you out. I'm just looking at it through the eyes of a psychopath that we've read story after story after story about that does that to people. So please, for your own personal safety, don't put your full name. Honey, all you guys are going to change your name, and I won't know who you are. But don't put your full name on there anymore. Change it to anything. Like change it to cat food. Change it to anything. Just don't put your real name as your screen name. Okay. Schmeister. My name actually is Schmeister. The Schmeister. That's how I say that. I can't say Schmeister. I would love to hear how you say it because I feel like I'm saying it wrong. But the Schmeister. The Schmeister. Oh my goodness. That's all I have to read for you guys today. I've been working on perfecting some art and stuff on the side, so I've been working on that. Not crazy at all. Not at all. Yeah, Deborah, please change your screen name for your own personal safety. But yeah, you've got a channel but no videos. Well, I think you all have to have a channel just to have a screen name on here, don't you? Vinny Big Bag Crazies. Big Bag. Vinny, didn't your name used to be something else too? Slimmer's just hitting up the chat and then leaving so that you'll go look at his channel. I know the game. But now I just go to people's channels to actually listen to the stream. But it's pretty rare that, like, the other night I got to go to your makers, and I think I saw Gling. Did I see you there? It was a Dubco. And he's still there. I actually made one of your makers live streams, and usually when he streams, I never catch it on time ever. So that was kind of interesting. And he had heard some noises in his house, and I don't know what happened because by the time he had been streaming for about an hour, it was like midnight here. I like to stay up late and get up early, but sometimes I just like can't hang. No, no. On Facebook, I had to use my real name because they kept shutting my accounts down that I didn't have my real name. Oh, you know what? I always add like a bunch. I usually, right now, my name is my name on my Facebook, but um, I usually add like a really funny, super long, ridiculous middle name in there, but I don't have one on there right now. If you guys are just joining, you can go back and listen to the first set was 25 hikers and backpackers. What was hikers and backpackers? I sound like me, too Canadian. I mean, Michigan is might as well be absorbed by Canada because it's pretty much the same damn thing. Yeah, the first set of stories was 25 hikers and backpackers reveal the creepiest, scariest things they found in the wild. And then we read 10 people who were MK Ultra victims. Some of them I've never heard of before, so let's see. Oh, Vinny Brad, that's right. Oh, I wasn't on Swamp Drill. I wasn't on I don't join a stream unless I plan on sticking around. Don't think so. Oh, no. I mean, I think sometimes it helps people, but I was on voice for that one. You're on Swamp Dweller's stream? Is that what she was saying? I don't like linking my accounts like Facebook to Pinterest. I don't have any account, but you're right. Yeah, definitely don't have your real name on there. I'm not changing my name. All right, everyone, stalk Tara. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. Slumber, didn't you just do a story with Celestial Noir too? Hey, Brian, we are almost wrapping it up. I'm so sorry, but we did 25 hikers and backpackers tell of the creepiest, scariest things they saw, and then we did 10 MK Ultra people. Tara, bring it on. I got some free time. Yeah, I did one too. Yeah. I had a bunch of stories set aside, but then when I looked at them, I realized I'd already read them. So I have to go scouring the internet. And I just want you guys to know in advance that I'm not doing a serial killer Saturday this Saturday because I need a break. I need at least one break in between them because BTK fucked me up, man. Like, seriously. And it was the pictures of seeing his victims that really, like, I can listen to a lot. I can imagine a lot. I have a very disgusting and vivid imagination, but when you see it and it's the person, they had their life had expired and he dressed them up and took pictures of them and kept them. How did his wife never find those? I don't know. I don't know. But man, Ooh. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. That was a good story. Yeah. There's if you go to Serial Killer Saturday for the BTK, I pinned a comment and there's 2 links there. I had originally removed them from the description box because my video got flagged for demonetization, but no matter what I removed, it's still demonetized. So I just put the links back up anyway and just took off any ads or whatever. So I just want to warn you before you go look at those pictures. Make sure no one else is in the room with you that shouldn't be looking at stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there's little kids around or in a public place. I mean, and just it's bad. Just because it's someone's life that's gone. And yeah. My dad had to board up our window because of the Night Stalker. The funniest part is that my sister thought he was cute and had Night Stalker newspaper clippings on her wall. Ew. I'm gonna go binge and catch up now. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, so on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. And I'd like to thank you guys for joining me. The next time we do a live stream will be next Monday around 8ish. I want to alternate it so that because like Schmeister or anybody in the UK or beyond really can't listen because the time difference is way too different. So if I start a live stream at 8, I can't get everybody in there. So if I alternate it, it'll work. So if you're new here and you don't know how we say goodbye here, I want to thank you guys for joining me. And in as sarcastic but lovingly as possible, I would like to say bye. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. This isn't sarcasm. We're just making fun of the Kardashians. Bye. Bye.